fairly common question that you come across when you start realizing the globe is a lie. And it's a question which is really aggravating. If you've looked into the articles and done the research and used your eyes and your own experience and memory. And that question is, why does it matter? You know? And I'd just like to make a quick analogy. You know, why something matters, you have to have personal experience. And it's like a diet. You talk to someone who isn't eating well, and you're telling them about this, that, and the other thing. You're really interested in it because you're seeing results, and you're like pumped up about it. And you're like, well, why does it matter? I don't care. You know, I don't have time to care. I got this job, whatever. And they don't know why it matters, because they haven't done the diet for a few weeks or even a few years to really get the effectiveness of it and the benefits of it. You know, because that's when you realize why it matters. You know, you see how the diet changes your energy and your mind and everything else. You know, so for the uninformed person, why does it matter? All it is to them is some attack on their sense of the world and even their ego, because they attach what they believe to what they identify as. You know. So that can be really frustrating. When you're talking to somebody and you say why it matters, you know. But one reason why it matters to me is that when you disregard something that you don't feel quite right about, and then go with it, and then what happens later? that simple scenario. And I mean, whether it's this obvious topic about the globe, or maybe you've noticed a few things about the crepusculates, you know, when God's about to talk when you're a kid, or maybe you just have a certain weird feeling, how do they know all this stuff about the Big Bang and millions, billions of years ago, trillions of years ago, and how everything unfolded and all the particles, you know? So maybe you have your little hang-ups. But then you attach this social world and everything when you see this picture, and you go with the picture that's presented to you instead of questioning it because all these disparities. You know, and just an alternative reason why that thing matters is just because it's simple-minded. That's what I'm saying here. For the first reason, is it affects your thinking. You know, because that's not just about this issue. This may be the romance, it may be the girl or the boy. You know, things are going, you have the heat, first few weeks, but there's this thing and the other thing, but you ignore it. And then what happens 2 years down the line? You know, things blow up or something. And in the meantime, who won? You know, maybe Greyhound going back and forth, wasting the gas. Maybe the flour company. You know, instead of finding the stability, which comes from proper analysis and certain values and whatnot, where you can build. But no, consumerism has fed this and that. So you start to see how in every facet that you can dissect, you know, whether it's the social economic sector or the workplace, you know, I don't feel so great about this, you know, I'm going to punch this button or fill out this ledger, whatever it is, you know, you start to see how simply what you believe in has done great harm. And that's a tough thing to bear. You know, so I think maybe that's why people get a bit defensive about things. Because this issue, one thing it does is it exposes you. You know? But the second issue I have with it is it ties into a system of social beliefs dictating the life. And what I mean by that is we're not founded on empirics. you ask somebody why this matters, and they start thinking about maybe these abstract things or something. But why it matters, it's an objective issue. If you hit things, there's real world, Why it matters, well, what does it matter? What this ground is or something, That's the state of humanity right now. We don't care about soil underneath our feet. We have all these other little things in our heads. So when I see this issue, to me, I see a bunch of people filling the public space with belief. And not trying to adjust the social condition to the objective reality. And that ties into the issue of social reform and changing. You hear all these things, you hear green people talking about this in the environment and everything, which is important. I'm not belittling it, And you hear about the free man, you hear about all these other things you hear about. But without understanding what this creation is, understanding the mechanics of this machine we call Earth, how are you supposed to know what this piston is supposed to be driving? It's just like this. If we're not in an objective reality, another analogy, I'm trying to drill through some cast iron, I use a middle bit, If I have a wood bit, I better not be doing that, unless it's severe, and I don't care that I'm wasting this bit, I don't want to waste my time too. So if you're going to figure out how the human is useful and to be used, and I don't mean abused and stuck in the system, I just mean efficient and for a purpose based on an intelligent design, then you have to know what the system is. And if we're stuck here thinking about all these abstract things and beliefs and everything else and not being grounded into the objective reality, this weird ground thing underneath our feet, then any social reform snapped out of existence, because what beliefs are and this sort of subjective being, it's just iron spikes holding down the rails of the system. So that's number 2. Number 3 for me is just the quality of it, because yes, we do all have these inner experiences which aren't quite objective, but which still matter. And, this issue puts you in such a vulnerable spot because you realize that you had no idea what you are or what you're supposed to be doing. And the very foundation of your spirit and how you think about yourself as a human being, what you internalize is founded on what? Globe lies. It's founded on nothing. How's the human being, I don't want to be generic here, but how are we supposed to grow or flourish or anything? So the simple life of the matter, that's the third thing that matters to me. Because another analogy, to go with this example, is a flower. You see a flower and it's a pretty thing and it's red, it reminds me of my grandma, and all this other stuff. Valid, sure, whatever. That varies for each person. One thing that doesn't vary is that a flower uses nutrients to grow. It pulls it up, and the microbes have to make those bioavailable and everything else. So operating as a life, it really pisses me the fuck off when I see things around me, resources that I can't use to grow and thrive. Because I can't say it's supposed to be all some beautiful thing or something, but I do know one thing about life, is that it uses resources in a way that assimilates them into a being and a purpose, So when I see, and it's not just about me, it's this whole species, when I see that we have these agricultural resources, we have this information, and we could accumulate them and use them better and more efficiently, and have synastry going on instead of this disparity, that matters to me at least. I doubt I'm alone on that one. So when I hear that annoying question about why does it matter, you know, these are the things that go through my head anyway. And, you know, is everything's different for each person, why it matters to them exactly, you know. But this movement is a conglomeration of individuals, you know. This thing's not about the Messiah. It's not about the leader. It's none of that. You know, it's about grassroots coming out of red dirt. You know, at least that's what I am. You know, I don't have any privilege in my life or anything else. You know, and then, you know, I doubt I'm alone in that aspect. You know, and I doubt I'm alone when I look around at everything in this world that's fucked up. All these institutions which are just there to hold people down, you know, cramp the growth, everything else, you know. And what rises up in me in question is not just my question, you know, but what I say to this issue and everything else is, you know, am I alive too much for you?